Hello everyone and welcome to the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's our favorite rectangle. It's Murph, it's Collins, and you know what that means. It's Monday night on the P1 Broadcasting Network, and we have got a special one for you. 100 laps at the world's most famous race course, Jacob. I can't wait.
World's most favorite quadrilateral for 80 laps of action, it looks like, are on tap here tonight. But nonetheless, everybody loves the rectangle. Let's have ourselves fun.
That's right, not an oval, it is a rectangle. We will not bore you with Murph's history lesson on Indianapolis. We did that the other day. And Collins doesn't want to hear any more history, and so we're going to steer clear of that. But we are going to have a bunch of fun topics. It is a stout field tonight, over 4,700 in SOF in attendance. Don't let the small size of the field follow you, Jacob. We were kind of talking about this while we waited on the session to pop. Any one of these 15 cars can win the race tonight.
Absolutely. Small field, but we've got the best on offer here tonight. The likes of Adam Blocker, Esper, Glenworth, Alexander. You run down this list, and it's a who's who of notable names and faces throughout the IndyCar circle. It
most certainly is. Getting ready to have a look at the top qualifying efforts. Caleb Brashear goes provisionally to the pole, 231.44 miles an hour. And it is worth mentioning Caleb Brashear because he is in a dogfight, Jacob, for the top spot in the championship.
Yeah, both Luzmansky Racing cars are up near the top of the standings, with Logan Edwards not too far off Berteau at the top of the table. With the highest strength of fields we got on offer here tonight, somewhere in the neighborhood of 4,700. This is a good opportunity for these guys to pick up big points as we get to the closing stage of this season.
You know it is, Jacob, and that's kind of the thing that we were talking about. You know, it may be one of those situations where Logan Edwards, Caleb Brashear, one of those guys. We know Brashear can get it done here. One of these guys that's really good on ovals. They might be able to sneak in and steal that title. From Alan Berteau, who is known as a great road racer, not so much on the ovals. We don't know about rectangles or quadrilaterals, Jacob, but Berteau, normally a much better road racer than oval racer. It's the granddaddy of all ovals, Jacob, and we are getting down to show and tell time here at Indianapolis. Qualifying is over. You ready, brother?
Heck yeah.
All right, let's get the opening music out of here. We are awaiting the grid, and we'll bring that to you here just as soon as we can. Still fighting the old trading paints. This fine evening, Jacob. On the pole, it is Marco Brazil. Marco turned in a lap at 231.980 miles an hour, and he'll be flanked by Caleb Brashear. Brashear also over 231. Likewise, row 2, Casey Povolones and Alan Berteau. Logan Edwards is the final car over 231 miles an hour. He'll start 5th. He'll have the veteran Matt Taylor next to him in 6th. Rashad Craig and Jeremy Miguel, they'll make up position 7th and 8th. Kyle Glenworth, Adam Blocker, they're going to go from row number 5. Interesting strategy there. Blocker, Jacob, he didn't qualify. Clindy, 112.572 miles an hour. That almost strikes me as, somewhat intentional, Jacob.
Well, you got to imagine these guys want to know how to pass cars around here, right?
Very much so. In 11th, Jesper Orman, or Dahlgren, as it were. Seb Alexander is going to be 12th. Ty Keela, Cody Grommel, and Leo Salvador all round out the field. None of those machines took time as we get ready to see Barney wave them off. There is the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The virtual stands are full. We have a big crowd on hand tonight. And Jacob, are you ready for it?
Absolutely.
I am too. It is going to be a fun time. These races are always fun, and then when you throw in a championship Monday, a shorter open run at 80 laps. Normally, these are 100 when they come to Indianapolis, but Tonight we're going to do 80, so it's a shorter distance. And what does that do to these drivers, Jacob?
Well, it does make it where we're going to see likely 2 stops here. I want to say the max fuel window here is somewhere in the neighborhood of 35, 36 laps as we've seen in recent months. So that does make it a 2-stop race here, pretty much however you slice it, because that is a very big stretch to hit that big of a fuel number around here. So that's going to put it right into the clutches of if there's an early caution, maybe guys try to come down the pit lane early, try to make one of those stops under yellow, and then eke one out under the green flag stages later on in the going.
You know, you do. The rule of thumb here is you can get 30 laps. We'll see drivers maybe make it as many as 35 if you're going if you're going in the draft and running it super lean, but you're going to have to stop for fuel anywhere. You're going to need 15 to 20 laps. So look at drivers if they get a yellow somewhere in that first 10 to 20 lap window to make a dash for pit road and try to turn this baby into a fuel mileage race. We've got the pace car on the race course, and there it is. There is Marco Brazil, Caleb Brashear. They're looking at road number 1 right behind them. Casey Pavlonas and Alan Berteau. And here's the thing, Jacob. Here's the thing. And this is kind of what I'd like to point out as we get ready to start this race. The pace car is going to duck on off, but this race tonight may be best viewed as a giant practice. Barney has the green flag in the air. Marco Brazil hits the loud pedal. We are under green from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as they roar off into turn number 1.
Got 3 wide, heading off into turn number 1 for a moment there. Pavlonis on the bottom, Berteau up high. We'll figure it out going into turn 2 here. Everybody's single file now.
Everybody is single file. Marco Brazil will lead. Casey Pavlonis, Caleb Brashear, Alan Berteau, Logan Edwards as we head down the backstretch. Already single file, Jacob. And here comes the swap. Casey Pavlonis dives to the inside of Marco Brazil into turn 3.
I think the biggest thing to look out for here is how well does Marco's car handle being behind cars. We know he's very good in qualifying, trims it out, has it down to a T, but when you put it behind other cars, that tends to be where that machine struggles. We'll see if he can make up or stay up near the front.
It most certainly does. Brashear has fallen back in the 3rd spot, and he is under attack now from the car of Alan Berteau, and Brashear gets very high. That leaves him vulnerable to teammate Logan Edwards, and Edwards, he'll crack the throttle and let his teammate in. Here's the fun thing. Brazil and Pavlonis, for them, it's kind of, Jacob, your friends are kind of where you find them. Marco Brazil, Casey Pavlonis do not have any teammates out here. Neither does Alan Berteau. They are sort of lone rangers. There is an armada of Alliance cars here. Rashad Craig, Kyle Clinworth, Seb Alexander, Jesper, Ty Keela. Those cars will all be working together. And I kind of mentioned at the top of the show, this is going to be kind of a test, as it were, for one of the big sim races in all the land, and that's coming up. The Hoosier 500, formerly the Open Wheels 500, that's just in a couple of weeks, Jacob. And so these drivers are starting to get ready for that as well.
Well, it's practice, but it's also a bit of a send-off as well, as this is going to be the last big race at Indianapolis that is not induced with hybrid power.
It is not. You're absolutely right. Do we have the weight or don't we? We're not quite sure. But one thing we don't have is the hybrid power plant. And so, you know, how's that going to affect the racing? We don't know. We do know that Seb Alexander is hard on the wall.
That's going to be a little more than Netco can forgive. He's going to be on 3 wheels. No caution as the moment.
No caution, but that car for
straight.
Yeah, that car there for Seb Alexander went absolutely as hard as you can get into the turn, into the South Chute fence. And let's see what we've got for Seb Alexander. It's going to take me a moment to dial up the replay. There he is. He's behind Berteau. He just got high in the groove. He got high in the dirty air, high in the groove, and Seb Alexander wallops the South Chute wall, and that's going to be day done for Seb. He had just set the fastest lap, Jacob.
Well, I think all this being said, the big charge so far coming from Adam Blocker. He's about working his way into the podium position after starting in the 10th spot, so he's clearly got his car well in hand here tonight.
There he goes. He's going to dive underneath Alan Berteau, and there goes Adam Blocker already up to the podium positions. You're watching the rapid Adam Blocker, long known as one of the best in this car, one of the best at this track. He's going to size up Casey the Cheese, headed down the front straightaway. Povolonis is going to slingshot Marco Brazil, move Povolonis to the lead, Brazil to second, Blocker now third, and very quietly, look who is fourth, Jacob. That would be our...
that's going to be Rashad Craig.
Yeah, that would be our old friend Rashad Craig, the defending series champion. Rashad Craig, he'll get to retain that title for just about the next hour and 30 minutes. It will no longer be his after tonight, Championship Monday. He is too far back in the standings, but Rashad Craig is very sneaky good at these things, Jacob. Keep an eye on Rashad Craig. It's worth noting that the front six have really separated themselves now from Leo Salvador and Ty Keela in 7th and 8th. They're almost, Leo Salvador is 7th. There's Leo. He is over a second behind that front group, and you can see the interval. Those cars better get, they need to get kind of a move on here. Jacob, they're going to be in danger of losing the draft.
Yeah, that's the big risk here, right? Is you could have a situation in which the draft gets broken up like this and lose a metric load of time, especially if that car kind of at the front of the train's not able to keep the tow. You could also have the same situation that some of these guys are probably wanting that front car to stay kind of backed up a bit so they could save a bit more gas around this place.
Not only that, but the further back you are in that draft, if you're not so close, tucked right up underneath the car in front of you, you got some distance, Jacob, you can save a lot of tires here. You may not think of it as you watch Brazil go for another lead change, and Adam Blocker is now all over the back of the two front runners. But as you think about, Jacob, as you think about tires, you wouldn't think that they mean a whole lot here, but tires here can be everything, can't they?
Well, it could be everything when you don't have them, right? We saw, cars getting up out of the groove already with Alexander clocking the wall. That only gets easier to do the more worn in the tires are, and you start drifting closer and closer to that outside wall.
It most certainly does. Riding on the roll hoop of the power slide entry, Adam Blocker. 78 degrees on the track as you get a view of the battle for the lead. 78 degrees in the air, 102 on the track. The interesting thing to me, Jacob, as you hear Adam both lift and downshift going into turn number 3, we'll pull up the telemetry and give everybody an idea of what Adam Blocker's doing around here. The thing that jumps out to me, and I don't have the telestrator from Gary Godso, the wind. It is out of the west, which is very uncommon here. Normally the wind in Indianapolis is out of the north, blows across the north chute, so you get a headwind going into 3 and it pushes you in the back coming off of 4. It's a crosswind in 1 and 2. If it's coming out of the west, that means it's a crosswind in turn 3 and it's pushing you in. It's pushing you into turn 1 and into turn 2. You got a headwind going into turn 4, and that's something that a lot of these drivers may not be all that familiar with unless it's the likes of a Blocker or a Rashad Craig, somebody with a lot of experience around here. Gesper would be another one of those.
Well, I think the other thing, too, to remember is this track isn't perfectly flat end-to-end either, right? We see a number of guys talk about how kind of turns 2 down to turn 3 is a bit downhill and then likewise uphill the other direction. So it might be possible that wind almost cancels out the elevation change, working yourself back up that slight grade.
It may be so. Marco Brazil looked like he was going to shut off Casey Povolonis there to stop the swap. Povolonis has to get out of the power. Marco Brazil is going to lead for another circuit, but Adam Blocker is right there. So is Rashad Craig. So is Alan Berteau. And let's give a shout out to Clindy. Kyle Clinworth is going past Alan Berteau. He's going to make the dive to the inside of Rashad Craig. Rashad is going to let him have room down there. Kyle Clinworth, he's made it quite a bit up this field from where he started. Clindy started 9th. He's up to 6th. Now he's up to 5th, really, and he's looking for 4th on Rashad Craig. Clindy wants to get going here too, Jacob.
Yeah, I think Logan Edwards was kind of able to bridge that gap we saw forming between himself and Salvador. They got grouped back together, and that allowed Kyle to kind of work his way back into this race, and he's taken full advantage of it here heading down the front straightaway.
Yes, he does. He's passed Rashad Craig. He'll move up to fourth. That is Marco Brazil on the bottom. You've got Casey Pobolones in the Votive Racing League machine on the top. Adam Blocker for Power Slide in third. Rogue Racing is fourth with Kyle Clinworth. Indy Alliance fifth. Rashad Craig, Fiercely Ford with P1 Docs. Alan Bruteau is sixth. The Luke Mansky entry for Logan Edwards is seventh. Jesper Dahlgren is eighth for Rogue Racing. Ty Keela for Rogue Racing is ninth. Leo Salvador, the independent, is 10th. Matt Taylor, Jeremy Miguel, Cody Grommel, and Caleb Brashear round out your 14 active drivers. Seb Alexander has already taken his car to the virtual garage. Jacob, we're about halfway through this run. Kind of what are you seeing?
Well, I'm seeing Kyle Clinworth take the lead. He passed two cars in two corners. He passed Povolones into three, Brazil down the front, and Brazil's going to take another look at Clinworth down into three now.
You know, that's a great point, and that's something that you do not see very often is Marco Brazil get passed, especially at Indianapolis, especially when he has the lead. And Marco will not want to continue to be passed. Marco moves back past Clindy, and now Clindy, he's going to slingshot back past Marco Brazil. It's in effect, it's working, and they've pulled out a bit of an advantage over Povolones. Down the backstretch they come. One more time, the swap happens. You got to wonder, and here's a story. Caleb Brashear is all the way in the back. He has lost the draft of Cody Grommel. Brashear second in points. He is all the way at the back. And I got to wonder, is Caleb Brashear just saving an inordinate amount of fuel, Jacob? Or is there something amiss on that Luke Mansky machine? Logan Edwards, his teammate, is seventh, right in the thick of it. You got to wonder, is Caleb just saving fuel, trying to make some sort of strategy happen here?
Well, some of it, too, might just be wanting to put your car in a different spot. You may not be comfortable in the midst of the pack, but I think this far back, there may have been an error in something that he did to get all the way back this far, as he's basically out of the draft window entirely.
Most certainly so. Caleb Brashear is having a bit of a rough time already. 4.5 seconds off that lead for Caleb Brashear. Cody Grommel, of course, is 13th, and there is Cody Grommel as he goes along. Grommel is in the pink modeled pink machine, but there's Cody. He runs along 13th. Jeremy Miguel is in 12th. There he is, 11th for Matt Taylor. And those are new colors for the MadWorks entry, Jacob. I almost didn't recognize that car. I didn't have to have sunglasses to look at it.
Well, I think you certainly still need some sunglasses to look at it, especially when it's in your rearview mirror trying to pass you, right?
Very, very true. Leo Salvador runs in the final position in the top 10. Anna the Deer says she suspects Caleb Brashear may have some right side damage, and so we'll see on that car, although he has started ever so slightly to pull back in on Cody Grommel. But there's the automobile for Leo Salvador. Logan Edwards in the leading currently. Luke Mansky machine is in 9th. Ty Keela for Rogue Racing is 8th, and there's Ty. He follows teammate Jesper Orman, and they are right behind the battle between Alan Bruteau and Casey Povolones. Bruteau checks up to the inside, dives Jesper, doesn't quite get there. He'll bail out of that move. And you got to wonder, Bruteau's working the high side. Jesper's working the bottom. You got to wonder what Casey Povolones is thinking. He's not been in many of these big-time races with a lot of these drivers, and you got to wonder what he's thinking. He's got the series points leader, one of the best drivers in iRacing at Indianapolis, Jesper 2 cars behind him. And then you've got Ty Keela, who's always rapid in these things. He's right there as well. And that's the battle. And they're all over the back of Casey, headed for turn 1, Jacob.
Well, the only way you're going to get more familiar with it is putting yourself in the situations, and that's something that Casey's done a really good job of, especially over the last couple seasons that I've kind of watched him throughout the IndyCar circle. Is he's put himself out there in more of these situations against the best of the best, and as we see Jesper looking to his inside.
Yes, he has. Berteau backed out of that. Ty Keela, Jesper Dahlgren get past him and move Jesper into 5th. He'll set sail after Rashad Craig. The lead of this race remains a swap fest. You've got Clindy and you've got Marco Brazil, and I gotta believe, Jacob, and we'll get in the left eyeball of Adam Blocker. I bet you we're going to hear a lot of lift out of that number 1 machine headed toward these corners.
Well, you got to think as long as you're still in the lead group, there's going to be something you have for these guys.
Could be indeed. There's Blocker, and he's got quite a cushion. If you look out the gearbox of Adam Blocker, there's not, Rashad Craig and Jesper, they're not exactly all over him. There is a gap between Jesper Dahlgren and Ty Keela of about 0.8 of a second, and so do kind of keep your eye on that. Remember, the draft envelope is about 1.8 seconds, and so if you have that much of a gap between you and the car in front, you're no longer getting the draft. But I think it's safe to say that that Adam Blocker is saving a ton of fuel, Jacob.
Yeah, we've already seen Casey peel down to the pit lane, which seems about right. I think I vastly overestimated how much gas we could get around here at Indianapolis earlier in the show, but I think Blocker's just biding his time here. He knows that he's not going to win this race on lap 23. He's going to win it on lap 79, 80 maybe, make the final move, heading around 1 or 2 more times. So he's just going to hang out.
It could be. Do want to point out that Caleb Brashear stopped as well, along with Casey Povolones. And that's something that I kind of wanted to point out, Jacob. Caleb Brashear had started to come back forward just a little bit. He was running faster lap times than Casey Povolones. He was running faster lap times than Cody Grommel and Guillermo Miguel in front of him. The problem for Brashear and Povolones is that they did not break the draft, right? So Marco Brazil and Kyle Clinworth are going to be within the draft envelope of those 2 cars in front. We'll get on board with Clindy, and here's the problem for them: if you get caught in the draft of the leaders, you're going to lose about 5 seconds, which is what you should. If you're the leader, you should come back out, Jacob, roughly 5 seconds in front of the lead group again, right?
Yeah, that sounds about right, especially given that if you've got a bit of help, you can usually try to close that in.
Absolutely, and there goes Clindy, and he knows, right? Clindy knows he's got 2 good cars out there in front of him. The driver of that road racing entry is going to be keen to try to close in on them as much as possible, because if you can put Brashear and Povolones down a lap here, it might be day done and dusted for those cars. Should a caution fly? It won't hurt them that badly if the thing stays green, but it will most assuredly, Jacob, cost them dearly if they go a lap down and the caution comes out. And you would have to think that Clindy, especially maybe not Marco, but Clindy and Adam Blocker would be aware of those cars.
Well, it's kind of the same case. You just got to be aware of when they get back to you. Kind of learn their names and faces the more you see them.
Most certainly would. Clindy has the lead now. John Bloom wants to know. He's new to iRacing, so he's trying to get familiar with the who's who. Is Adam Blocker considered one of the IndyCar elites? The short answer to that is yes. There are 3 power teams, if you were, and those are really I5G, which is short for Indianapolis 500 Group. That's led by that's led by Brandon Trano, and you'll see Jacob Oster, another one of their excellent drivers. Brendan Lichtenberg runs the Team I5G YouTube channel. If you've ever seen any of the ARCA Break weekly shows, that's our good friend. That's our good friend Brendan. But that's one super team, and there are other drivers on that team as well that are very good. But you will see them much less seldom. The second big super team is Power Slide Motorsports, and that's led by Adam Blocker, who is, as Mike Rigney just said, a legend in the IndyCar community. He is a multiple-time Lionheart Racing Series champion, a multiple official champion, and he is also an engineer on these things in real life. He's worked for Team Penske. He did last year at Juncos Hollinger Racing. I believe social media says that he is with. Is it Ganassi now, Jacob?
Yeah, he's going to be working on the 8 car in the Indy Next Series next year, I believe.
Yeah, Marco Brazil comes to pit lane. So Adam Blocker not only is very good at these things in the sim, but he is the leader of one of the power teams, and that's Power Slide, multiple-time iRacing Indy 500 winner. Contact with a wall for Caleb Brashear, and then if he's got right side damage, Jacob, that's not going to do him any good, and Adam Blocker just about comes to grief behind him. And so there's Blocker. He navigates around the wounded car of Brashear. Next up for Brashear is going to be Rashad Craig, and that's not what Caleb wanted to see going a lap down here. Casey Povolones has maintained his spot on the lead lap. It's worth noting that Clindy is not really attempting to pass him all that much. We'll get back to that. Logan Edwards will come into the pit lane. But Adam Blocker, one of the very best. His teammates, Robert Malechka, also known as the King. Robert Malechka, one of the very best in these cars, as is Alex Van de Zandt, Jason Brophy, Josh Chin. There are all sorts of great drivers on that team. And then you've got the newest formation, a team more or less colloquially known as the Alliance, which is really 3 smaller teams. Rogue Racing, which is led by Kyle Clinworth, and in this race would consist of Jesper Dahlgren and Ty Keela. You've also, as Clindy pulls off into pit lane, that's going to give the lead to Blocker, who will immediately slingshot around Povolones, put him a lap down. The Indy Alliance Racing team, which is led by Seb Alexander. That would include Rashad Craig, as well as yours truly when I'm not being slow and old and retired. And then the third bit of that is the satellite racing team. That would be Chad Simpson, Matt Hollybaugh, and Adam Crane. And that's colloquially known as the Alliance. And so there are 3 super teams. Adam Blocker is one of the very best drivers at the head of one of the biggest teams, and he is at the head of this field, being followed now, incidentally, by Jesper in second. And those 2 cars, Jacob, they've gone 32 laps on their current run. They're bidding to make it 33, and I don't see either one of those cars stopping until the tank runs dry. Leo Salvador will come out. Blocker will instantly snake to the bottom, pick up that draft, and see if he can't put the now lap machine of Leo Salvador one more car in between himself and Jesper, Jacob.
Well, I think the important thing to note for some of these guys is that a lot of these guys that are still running near the front of the field still have to come down the pit lane themselves, so they'll at least be able to get back on the lead lap should the pit cycle complete itself here. It's just going to be how far back are they relative to the rest of the field at that stage. They
do indeed. On to the pit lane is going to come Matt Taylor. He'll pit from the 7th spot. 33 laps now on the current run for Blocker, Jesper, Craig, Ty Keela, Alan Berteau, and Guillermo Miguel. Those are the only cars that have not pitted. And it's got to be getting about time for them, for those cars to come and get some gas. And John, no worries, man. Always happy to answer any questions you may have. As long as it doesn't involve multiplication or long division, I'm here for you, buddy. Rashad Craig, Alan Berteau will hit pit road 33 laps into their run. Orman's going to go to the bottom for the lead.
He saw his opportunity. He's going to take it. I mean, Salvador is going to be still on the outside here, so Blocker has to kind of play nice here. This is going to allow Jesper to run away just a little bit here. Blocker still hasn't fully cleared Salvador down the backstretch.
He has
done so now.
He hasn't. Now he does, and Orman's going to get the draft off of the still accelerating car, Matt Taylor. They're going to go 3 wide behind him. Rashad Craig is in the pit lane. I thought that was Rashad, very similarly painted to the Rogue Racing entry of Tyquila. Tyquila is going to come in. Now Orman is in. So is Blocker. Blocker hard on the brakes. Blocker spins it and tags the wall.
I think he might have lucked out on that one. Not seeing any damage on his machine.
A very, very uncharacteristic mistake from Adam Blocker. Let's watch this pit entry, Jacob, and we'll show you what you mean. This is Adam Blocker. This is one of the high cotton, but he is trying to reel in Jesper Orman, and here he comes. I don't know, Jacob. That was forgiven, but that was significant contact, and it doesn't matter. Adam Blocker with the meatball flag. That is day done. Jesper Orman is going to come out with the lead, and here comes Jesper, and there goes teammate Kyle Clinworth. Marco Brazil is scored as the leader, but Marco is blinking heavily in front of these two, and that is a 3-car breakaway from Tyquila in 4th, and Keela is about 0.6 of a second up over Rashad Craig. So really now it's just the front 3, Jacob.
Yeah, Clenworth came down around lap 30 or 31, so that means he'll probably come down around lap 60 if the math works out for him. It's going to give him a good long ways to kind of play with here, especially if they can get Ty and Rashad back into the picture. That might be quite the top 5 lockout.
It would be, and there you see Ty Keeler, Rashad Craig, and Alan Berteau, positions 4 through 6. They are not quite out of this just yet. Those front 6 are all going to yo-yo back together, Jacob, before this is all over. But the big news, and we're going to pop the gap up. The big news is between P6 and 7. If you look at that gap between Alan Berteau and Leo Salvador, that is more than 1.8 seconds. That means that Salvador, Taylor, Edwards, Povolonis, Grommel, and Brashear have all lost this lead draft. So what was once 15 became 13 with the retirements of Blocker and Alexander. Blocker still sits on pit lane, but his car heavily damaged, broken right front suspension. What was 13 has become really 7, Jacob, as these 6, as these front 6 look to sort it out, and they are going to come together here very shortly. It's going to be a lot of hard work for Miguel and Salvador to get back into this fight.
It is important to keep in mind these guys could get racy at any time, and those guys that are maybe just outside that window, like a Salvador, like a Miguel, could just as easily get back onto the tail end of the train. But it really just depends is how much are they going to stop playing nice here at the front, especially this early in the race.
You know, that's very true. It is worth noting that that Clindy and Marco Brazil are mostly playing nice, Jacob. There they are swapping the lead. Jesper is the interested observer. Jesper Dahlgren, interested observer in 3rd. They've got teammates and alliance machines behind them in Tyquila and Rashad Craig. I don't foresee Alan Berteau getting very racy at this point. This would basically clinch him the championship. And that's another one I didn't mention, and I should have, Jacob, when I was talking about the teams earlier. There really is kind of a 4th super team, and that would be the Fiercely Ford with P1 Docs entries. That's headed up by Christian Hildegard, Kevin Burrell. You'll see Alan Berteau in those cars, Hamilton Akabuezi as well. But there's that machine, very distinct livery. Nick Sudik also a member of that team. You haven't seen many of them around in this season, but they are usually fixtures on this open calendar, Jacob.
I don't think you would have many IndyCar races without at least one of the big teams showing up in at least one entry. So that's always the fun part of seeing who all turns out and going up against the who's who every week.
It most certainly is. And speaking of who's, we've got a who's who of an audience, man. 46 people currently watching. The view count nearing 300 already. Do want to thank everybody for tuning it in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you smash the like button in the video. Ring the bell. Subscribe to P1 if you haven't already done so. We have a ton of iRacing action for you this week. Tonight, Jacob Collins will be back with the Indy Next series. And where are they at today? It's a road course. It won't be from Indianapolis. It's the road series. So where are they at tonight? Where's the next series? Sebring. And so the Indy Next series live from Sebring tonight. That'll be at 9 o'clock, right, Jacob? I believe.
Yes, sir.
I didn't say that wrong. 9 o'clock for the Indy Next cars. We're going to have the flagship broadcast tomorrow. It'll be myself along with Justin Petschauer and Luis Gonzalez Nunez. Blocker back onto the speedway. 5 minutes under repair for Adam Blocker. He is 7 laps down, and that's just going to be an effort to roll along. And if there's a crash here, try to save some iRating for Adam Blocker. But he's going to be scored again 7 laps down in 14th place. And we'll see Adam just more or less stay out of the way. But tomorrow night, 7:15 flagship broadcast. I will have that one along with Justin Petschauer and LGN, and it'll be a double, Jacob. Aren't we excited about that? The iRacing Super Speedway, followed at 8:30. We'll have a kind of a mid-race snack. That'll be with the Indy Next cars in the Oval Series in the next machines. Is where this week, Jacob?
Homestead, Miami.
So it's possible that you're going to have guys do ISS, then go run Indy Next, and then head back to the iRacing Super Speedway for the nightcap. There will be a podcast in the middle, and we'll have a podcast in the middle, and then we'll show the second race as well. Always fun to have a double header. Wednesday at 8:20, we're going to have the Formula Indy Series as well. The big news, though, Jacob, is this is Hoosier 500 practice week. Tonight, Gary Gonzo is carrying the Acres Lawn Service opening day practice, and they're going to have practice every night on the Hoosier 500 YouTube channel. P1 producing that one, and that is in preparation for one of the biggest sim races in all the land, my friends. And it is a stout entry list indeed.
Well, you know it's starting to look stout now as these Alliance cars at the front of the field. Brazil has now gotten passed by 3, going to be 4 if Craig can get by him, heading off to turn 3.
Yeah, there goes Rashad.
And that's going to be the top 4 spots completely locked down by Alliance cars here tonight.
Yeah, and look, we kind of wondered when it would be that those Alliance cars would start working together and work to freeze out Marco, and it appears as though they have now. Jesper and Clindy, the top 2, they've got friendlies behind them. In Tykeela 3rd, Rashad Craig is playing rear gunner in 4th, and Adam Blocker has moved around the machine of Marco Brazil. You got to wonder if maybe Blocker is going to try to get a lap or 2 back here the hard way. He's been out now for 4 laps, and so if he can get a lap back now, get a lap back through a fortuitous caution, he might be able, Jacob, to gain some of that back. I don't think he's going to get 7 laps back, but wilder stuff has happened.
Well, a lap here, a lap there. I mean, it depends on how the race shakes out. If his car's as strong as it's looked when it's fully put together, he might be able to, in a late race restart, get a lap back, have a yellow come out, get another lap back. It just, if you put yourself in the right spot, anything can happen.
Well, and we talked about that, Jacob. We talked about that earlier too. This could, a lot of these drivers, I know the Alliance drivers are, and I'm sure Adam Blocker is. I'm sure that Marco Brazil is. Same for Povolonis. Same for the Luke Mansky cars. They're kind of treating this as a test session for that Hoosier 500 that's going to happen in a couple of weeks. In that there's really no substitute for this. You can practice all you want, and you can pound around and run laps. You can have open tests. You can have open lobbies and encourage as many people as possible to sign up. You can run the AI, but there's no substitute for race action in gathering data. And so that's what these guys are doing, and that's what Adam Blocker's doing. He knows he's going to finish 14th. Now there's probably some red mist there, Jacob, but he wants to pound around here and get as many laps in the draft going as fast as he can for that big race in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, the only way to truly get race data is in a race, and that's what we're seeing everybody try to get out of this one tonight.
We are indeed. Blocker will go to the head of the train, and I'm also quite certain that Jesper Orman and Clindy are happy to let him do that. Saves a little bit of fuel, and they're likewise getting a read on their cars versus the power slide machine, right? So they know they're going to know what their cars run like. Now, Adam Blocker is going to pull his machine back into the pit lane, and he almost did the same thing, bringing it back to the pits, and that may be enough data for Adam Blocker. I don't know if, with his position in the race, I doubt that he's going to want to continue or interfere with the lead. So Clindy, Jesper Dahlgren, Ty Keela, Marco Brazil, and Rashad Craig, your top five. Alan Berteau is the caboose on that train. They are 4.5 seconds clear of Leo Salvador, leading that second group. For all intents and purposes, here at lap 50, coming to get 51, Jacob, it's turned into a 6-car fight.
Yeah, most certainly at this stage, especially given how far the gap is back to Salvador now, it would take quite a bit of battling to reel them back in. Or just as possible, we saw a Blocker have struggle down the pit lane. Any number of these cars could have a struggle down the pit lane, and that gap could shrivel up to where, maybe a lock here, a lock there, they got to serve a penalty, and that could break a number of these cars apart from each other.
Well, it most certainly could, and something I didn't think about, Jacob, we saw Blocker come back in and very nearly clout the wall in the same way. I wonder if that number one machine, one of the things he's doing, not only gathering data in the draft, he might be trying to figure out the brake bias to get that car on the pit road.
Yeah, certainly likely one of the easiest ways to lose races here at Indianapolis is in the pit lane, especially given that in a number of cases it's very difficult to pass, especially a large number of cars. So the less passing you have to do on the racetrack, the better. And a lot of that is through getting down and off of pit road very, very quickly.
It is indeed. Do want to note the wind is unchanged, but the temperature is starting to climb. When we started this race, Jacob, it was 102 on the track. The wind is still out of the west. It's gotten a little bit gustier, more gusty or gustier as you were. It is coming out of the west with... It is out of the west with more gusto. How's that? All the way up to 12 miles an hour in gusts. But the track is warmed up. It's 107 degrees, and that 5 degrees here at Indy, Jacob, that makes a huge difference as we near our final pit stop.
Yeah, every degree here makes a larger impact. It wouldn't be entirely surprising to hear that if a number of guys have multiple setups, just depending on the weather here at the Speedway.
I can confirm that there are multiple setups. Usually those are in 10-degree increments. So we'll know if the track is 100 degrees, you'll run one thing. If the track is 120 degrees, you'll run something completely different. And those setups are very, very, very different, Jacob. As you see Matt Taylor, he is coming out of the pit lane. Taylor, Brashear, Povalones, they have all made their final stop now, Jacob. And Matt Taylor has come out with a rather large gap over Brashear and Povalones. Taylor 7 seconds clear of Caleb Brashear, and he'll slot in right at the back of that lead draft.
Not a bad spot to be, especially if you're, going to try to stay on the lead lap here. If you could stay with the leaders, then that likely puts you back on the lead lap when the cycle finally completes in maybe 10 laps time.
Indeed, new fast lap. Adam Blocker just torched the speedway 40.046. That's 3/10. That's 3/10 quicker than the next best lap around here. Of course, he had a massive suck onto the back of that lead group, and then he immediately dropped off. He's just trying to find a place to run and complete this event. Clindy back in the lead over Jesper Dahlgren. Tykila. Marco Brazil has moved back around Rashad Craig into fourth, and Rashad is fifth. Alan Berteau continues to be the caboose here. They've got Matt Taylor along, but Taylor is a lap down. Do want to thank everybody for watching the P1 Broadcasting presentation of the Indy Open Series. You've got Murph, you've got Jacob Collins. If you like the stream, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel so that you can get notified of all future iRacing broadcasts. If you wanted to contribute to the cause, there is a GoFundMe link in the description, and so we do appreciate that. We know times are tough. Leo Salvador comes off of the pit lane. That was his final stop, and really now, Jacob, we're just waiting on when these front six want to make their stops.
Well, I'd have to imagine it's going to be relatively soon. We saw Clenworth come down around lap 30, 31 that last time around. So he's likely to come in around the same time this time, maybe fill the tank with a bit less gas this time and make it its way to the finish line. Maybe, actually, he could try to put more gas into it and run it full tilt without having to worry about having to hit a fuel number. So that may be the alternative there as well.
Yes, indeed. Do want to point out that there could be something of a country-wide outage going, Jacob. Marco Brazil, Guilherme Miguel, and Leo Salvador are all blinking in the broadcast. And I don't say that for any reason other than that is a hazard of iRacing, Jacob. All three of those drivers are from Brazil. And so infrastructure being what it is sometimes, there could be some sort of a problem down there where those drivers are located. But they are all blinking over the course of the last few laps. None of the other drivers from either the USA or Europe have done so over the course of the race. So that's something to keep an eye on, Jacob.
Yeah, and that is something that does play a factor, even beyond just the visual aspect of the car kind of phasing in and out, that it does have an impact on things like the tow. There's not a car there.
No tow.
No tow.
Yeah, no car, no tow, which also plays havoc with the handling, especially in the corners. If you're Rashad Craig, car there at corner entry, car not there mid-corner, that can catch you out. In comes Clindy, in comes Marco Brazil. This is going to be their final stop, and Clindy, weaves his car sideways. He just about did the same thing poor Adam Blocker did. That's going to be Caleb Brashear. No, Logan Edwards will also come in, and we're going to cover these stops for Clindy and Marco Brazil. Up onto the jacks is going to go the Rogue Racing entry of Kyle Clinworth. You see the broken machines of Adam Blocker and Seb Alexander on pit lane. Clindy already down and dusted 8.1 seconds as Edwards just now reaching his pit stall. Out goes Clindy, blinking in his pit box is Marco Brazil. That's going to hand the lead to Tykila, or it would. Jesper Dahlgren, is now stopping. That will give the lead to Tykila. Rashad Craig is now second. Alan Berteau is third. And that is really, those are really the leaders. The two cars behind them, that would be Matt Taylor and Guilherme Miguel, are a lap down. In comes Tykila. That's going to leave Rashad Craig and Jacob. The question now becomes, how far do you want to go if you're Craig and Berteau? And at what point does staying out become a disadvantage?
Well, it becomes a disadvantage as soon as you've got really nobody to work with, right? As we saw, basically the big thing that came out of that opening cycle is you had the likes of Dahlgren and Glenworth and Keela all come down at relatively the same time. They all came out at relatively the same time, and they were able to work their way to the front of the field. That's going to be the big thing, right, is if Craig comes down here and he cycles back out next to nobody, that could be just as quickly night over as anything else.
It could. On the flip side of that, though, if a caution flies right here, you're going to have Rashad Craig come out smelling like a rose. It's worth noting Keela, Clenworth, Jesper Dahlgren, and Marco Brazil are all in a pack. They are 33 seconds behind this group, and they are about 0.4 of a lap quicker. 41.297 for Rashad Craig that last time, 40.888 for Kyle Clenworth. So they're making up a huge amount of time, Jacob. One would think that Rashad is going to want to hit pit lane, but the flip side of that is the longer he goes, the shorter the stop, and the shorter the stop, the happier the tires are going to be on that machine as well. It is worth noting the track is still at 107 degrees. The air still 78, so the weather more or less unchanged. Wind is still out of the west. Brito and Craig are now swapping. You got to wonder if maybe they're watching the broadcast. They heard the lap time, Jacob, and said, "Wait a minute, we better start working together here."
Well, it's the final stint. This is where everything gets spicy. We're going to see 2x2.
We are going to see 2x2. Do want to thank everybody for your patience. It appears as though my Discord just decided that it was going to remove me. Jacob, you were saying?
Well, the last 15 laps or so are going to be about the spiciest thing we got. We saw cars 2x2 heading into turn 3. We might see it again heading into turn 3 this time if Ty Keela can wrangle down the back straightaway here.
Yeah, here's that lead group now. Rashad Craig and Alan Brito have stopped. Alan Brito, Rashad Craig have stopped. So they're on pit lane, and the race off of pit lane is going to determine the order as we get down to business. 66 of 80 are about to be complete. Lap 67 will be underway when they pass under Barney this time. That'll mean 14 circuits to go, Jacob. And we should have 3 wide going into turn 1. Marco Brazil to the lead. Now here come these two, and they're going to have to hustle or they're going to lose the draft.
Yeah, it's make or break. Get out of the pit lane, catch this tow, or it's likely going to be a long night of riding around here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
I've got my eye on it again. 1.8 seconds is the delta that you've got to avoid. 1.5 seconds is the difference for Alan Brito. And so he and Rashad Craig are going to get saved. The front of this pack is battling furiously now. Ty Keela slices to the inside. He'll get the lead over Jesper and Clindy. Marco Brazil back to 4th. Brito and Rashad Craig, though, they're coming. They have already sliced that deficit by a third, Jacob.
That's going to be the thing, too, right, is that they're going to be just as much as danger of inviting more people into this fight actively the more they fight for it now.
I don't think they've got to worry about Miguel, Taylor, Edwards on back. Those cars 8.6 seconds now in arrears, and I don't really think that they can stop Alan Brito and Rashad Craig from catching them. Both of those cars plenty quick, and they are in the draft now. Brito 0.7 of a second, and they are coming. Meanwhile, these cars up here continue to fight like mad. Ty Keela goes back to the lead over Jesper Dahlgren. Kyle Clenworth is 3rd. And to his inside is going to flash Marco Brazil. And that's not the move you want if you're Marco. When you go down there and you come off the corner on the bottom, Jacob, there's no drafting help down there.
No, everybody wants to get back towards the wall on the exit of the corner. And if you stay towards the bottom, there's nobody there to help you.
There is not. Rashad Craig will move to the inside of Alan Berteau make Rashad Craig 5th. And so now you've got the Alliance cars 1, 2, 3, and 5. Marco Brazil is P4. And he is about to be the odd man out because here comes Rashad Craig. He's got 6 laps newer tires than those cars in front of him, and he is coming. Meanwhile, Marco Brazil continues to be all over the car of Kyle Clinworth. He can't quite get that job done, Jacob.
No, and I imagine that job's only going to get harder to get done as these drivers drive much more defensively, trying to keep the track position they have on tap, and that's how we're going to get these guys maybe that would have been shuffled away further back from this top 4 had they all played nice back into this thing.
Yeah, and now you see Clindy kind of weaving around on the front straightaway, trying to break that draft for Marco Brazil. Brazil unable to mount the charge down into turn number 1, and that puts him back in the clutches of Rashad Craig. The front 6 are all together, and that is the battle. Jeremy Miguel, Matt Taylor, Logan Edwards, Leo Salvador, Caleb Bashir, Cody Grommel, and Casey Povolones are not going to be a part of this fight. Those cars more than 11 seconds in arrears, not a part of this battle for the lead. Of course, it is not without possibility that Jeremy Miguel could still wind up in victory lane if these 6 guys up here decide to get to tussling, Jacob.
Yeah, that's the big thing too, right? Is you got to just be in the position to begin with, right? So much of this track turns into, especially in the late stages, is just being in position, right? You talk about how every lap is so much a patience game here, that really the ultimate patience game is being at the finish with a shot to win the thing.
It most certainly is. As we get to 10 laps to go, coming to get 9 to go, do want to thank everybody for tuning in to the P1 Broadcasting Network. You're listening to Murph and Collins as we call the IndyCar Open Top Split live from Indianapolis. It is Championship Monday. Alan Berteau seems to have that locked down. Caleb Brashear, his nearest pursuer, with trouble today. Berteau with a big points lead, and he is going to pad that over Caleb Brashear and Logan Edwards. Meanwhile, Clindy and Marco Brazil, that is getting too tight for comfort. And now Rashad Craig is going to dive to the bottom. Clindy is going to reach down and help Rashad Craig. And watch Clindy here. This is huge. He gives Rashad Craig, did you see that, Jacob? That was textbook. He gave his team car the clean air on the bottom. That's going to drag Rashad Craig through and relegate Marco Brazil into 5th.
That's how you have to do it, especially if you're trying to kind of close the lanes up, right? We'll see Rashad maybe run a half lane up here and then lock Marco out from making a move further forward by just existing, right? And that's so much of how you have to strategize on these bigger tracks, is just having your cars in spots, making it very difficult for people to make moves on you. It
most certainly is. And when you've got 4 cars, and these cars are all communicating together, by the way. They are all in the same Discord. They're all using the same radio channel. They're coordinating these moves. At least they should be coordinating these moves, Jacob. And it's going to be very difficult to get up in there for Marco Brazil, already with a car that's known to not handle very well in traffic. And now he's got 4 cars that are essentially occupying the 2.5 usable lanes around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in front of him.
The one thing I am noticing is Alan Berteau is not spending any time trying to make any sorts of moves on these guys or inroads, and I think that ultimately he's going to be probably all the better off for it, especially if they get off to the busting out the dragon, if you will, late in the stages. That has a tendency to cause some issues, especially late in the going.
Yeah, Alan Berteau is not making any sort of an effort to get up there and be a part of this fight. Alan Berteau is quite secure in running in that 6th spot. He knows the situation. He knows the point situation, and if he finishes there, he's going to lock up a championship, barring anything wild. Now, there are other time slots, and it is Indianapolis, so I would expect that at least on Saturday we're going to see another big SOF. But usually this one is the biggest one. And if you run good tonight, you've put a big one in the bank for what may come the rest of the week, Jacob.
Another pass for the lead. Keela on Jesper.
Yes, it is. Rashad Craig has gone to third. Clindy seems secure in fourth. Marco Brazil unable to really make a move up past fifth. I think Marco has to know at this point that barring anything from the team cars in front of him, that it's that P5 is going to be about it for him today. And it's worth noting that Seb Alexander was extremely fast earlier. This could have very easily been 5 of those cars up at the front of this thing, Jacob.
It looks like just about anywhere Marco tries to put his car, there's just a car right there waiting for him. You know, we see it off the exit of 2 here. Brazil's going to look low here, more than likely, try to make a move on Clenworth, but they're just putting their cars in the right spots when they need to.
It was. Now, Clindy slid a little bit coming off of turn 2, and that allowed Marco Brazil to get a massive run, but there's just nowhere for that number 8 machine to go. Jesper Dahlgren leads it. Ty Keela second. Rashad Craig is third. Kyle Clenworth fourth. Marco Brazil is fifth. Alan Berteau is sixth. That is the lead draft. We are down to 3 laps to go now. Inside of a qualifying run. 7.5 miles to decide an 80-lapper here at Indianapolis in the IndyCar Open Top Split. And if you haven't already done it, make sure you hit like on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1. And if you'd like to, there is a donation link for the ongoing GoFundMe for the channel. You can find that in the description. It would not surprise me, Jacob. Now, we've seen the Alliance cars get this far. You know as well as I do that there are no orders between those cars once it comes down to this point. It would not surprise me to see Rashad Craig make a move here. He's got the freshest tires, Jacob, by a lot here.
No, I think the policy goes is nobody wants to win by being given the win, I think is how we kind of phrase it. So certainly everybody's going to be going for it come to the final lap here. We're almost there.
Yeah, we have 6 corners to go. Make it 5 as they navigate through turn 3. And really, the front 3 have begun to separate themselves. Clindy is now 10 car lengths behind Rashad Craig. Jesper Orman is going to see the white flag from Barney. As we come under this time, it's 2.5 miles, 4 corners at Indianapolis to go. Through turn 1, Ty Keela still leads it. Jesper second. Rashad Craig is third. There is now space, daylight, between Clindy and Marco Brazil from 4th to 5th. Down the backstretch they come. It was here that it was
IndyCar, that's for sure.
You do not. The front 3 separated by 0.086 seconds. That's less than a tenth. If you want to talk about how much that is, that's more or less 3 wide, Jacob. All right, and I understand the stream may have frozen, Jacob. So we're going to go back here and let's have a look at the final. Let's have a look at these final laps, shall we? Taylor Mills checks in. Anna the Deer. My apologies. I don't understand quite what's going on here, but the stream did freeze. So we're going to replay the last few laps. It's Ty Keela, Jesper Dahlgren, and Rashad Craig coming down for the win. There's Jesper. He makes the move to the inside, coming to get the white flag, Jacob. And then really it's down to timing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really just getting your move lined up to get your car big enough in the toe to launch to the outside or whatever lane's available at that point to make your move to the start-finish line.
There you go. There's now we're coming through turn 2. This is the final lap. You've got Ty leading, Jesper second, Rashad Craig third, then Kyle Clenworth and Marco Brazil. And here comes the move from Jesper Orman, thinking it's the winning one. He's going to slide down to the inside. He's going to make it past Ty Keela. But that's not necessarily the way to go here, Jacob. Jesper on the bottom, and that's where he wants to be. He wants to be leading here. They come and turn for home, and here's Tykila. He just turns right and drives around Jesper Orman to win the race, and there is Rashad Craig sneaking into third. So there we have it. Did Taylor, Anna, did it show it? Did it show at that time? I want to make doggone for certain that we got that replay to you. At any rate, Jacob, that was a pretty doggone good race.
I think that's the second finish Jesper's been in this place in a couple weeks, hasn't it?
It as the saying goes, it do be like that sometimes. Tykila is the winner, 0.049 seconds over Jesper Dahlgren, and Rashad Craig is going to be third. Kyle Clinworth is fourth. Marco Brazil is going to round out your top five. In sixth, Alan Berteau. He's the last car in that lead draft. Followed by Leo Salvador, Guillermo Miguel, Matt Taylor, Logan Edwards will finalize your top 10. In 11th, how about Caleb Brashear? He's got to be disappointed with that, Jacob, especially after his win in the big fixed race here. Cody Grommel is 12th. Casey Povolonis is 13th, the final runner. Adam Blocker and Seb Alexander both retired out of this one, 14th and 15th. I bet we're gonna have some happy drivers in the interview booth. Here's Rashad Craig. Rashad, you've got Murph. You've got Jacob Collins in the P1 broadcasting booth. Talk us through that finish. You've got Alliance cars. You've got team cars around you. Was it a matter of getting by Marco and then just holding on to those top four slots? Were there discussions as to what was going to happen next? Kind of walk us through how you decided that one at the end.
Pretty much let cards fall where they may. Like, of course, we wanted to all be sure we're all up at the front, but from there it was really just don't wreck each other. And then when we got to the end of the race, everybody did their own thing. It wasn't really talking about who's gonna finish where. At one point, Marco was behind me, and then Clindy was in front of me, and I just got a good run, so he let me by. So it's more like a don't wreck each other. Everybody finishes, and then party time in the last couple laps.
Party time it was. Jacob, what do you have for the outgoing Indy Open champion, third place today?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of saw a good bit of patience through the opening couple of stints there. And then pretty much when everybody got cycled back off the pit lane that last time, everybody decided that they needed to start shooting guns blazing, trying to make their way to the front of the field. At what point did you guys feel like that was the right call to make? And then at what point did you need to maybe reconsider or have second thoughts about it?
It was pretty early, when kind of Clindy made that first run up to the front. It was more just kind of feel everybody out, and so we had a good feel of the car and what everything could do. All our different cars could do, because we're all running something slightly different. It was more just like I said, just getting up there and making everything happen.
Make it happen, you did, and something else you get to make happen. Rashad, shout outs, friends, family, sponsors. Floor is yours, my man.
Shout out to the team. Shout out to Seb. Made a really good set, and still got some adjustments to make for other races coming forward. I pretty much just hopped in this and still learning it. But shout out to friends and family.
So yeah, you definitely want to be in second place there first, and you're never gonna get to the line in P1. No chance.
Was there a thought to jinking the car to the right just to slow that run down, or were you kind of at that point knew that it was going to be second?
Yeah, honestly, looking in my mirror to see where Clendy was, if he was gonna beat Marco or not, because we wanted that 1, 2, 3, 4. So I wasn't too concerned where we would end up, where I would end up. Yeah, fun little race. Looking forward to the hybrid and everything.
Absolutely. Mr. Collins, what do you have for Jesper this evening?
Yeah, it's certainly a kind of a darned if you do, darned if you don't situation, especially coming to the line there. Do you feel like had you maybe have been in position to have already been in the lead and then have to try to take it back, that would have kind of changed the outcome here tonight? Or is it one of those things where by the time you get to the start finish line, you kind of have to just take it as it was?
Yeah, I mean, if it would have been an important race, let's say, I would probably have started to think like with 10 to go where I wanted to be. But honestly, I wasn't thinking at all. Just take it to the line and see what happens. I thought I would be closer to Ty, but he was flying. We were running different sets as well, and I think his set is maybe a bit more trimmed. So yeah, need to try that set out for sure.
There you go. Speaking of setups, we kind of talked about it. Quite a bit. We saw the Alliance cars come out, and certainly you're a big part of that. You mentioned had it been an important race, there's certainly one of those coming in a couple of weeks. Were you surprised that there weren't more drivers that came out for this? And as a follow-up to that, did you learn anything that you think you can apply to make the race car better for that big race in a couple of weeks?
As far as I understand, the everything is added, the weight and everything. It's just the hybrid that is missing. So it's basically a button you click twice per lap. So I'm not sure it's gonna add much, but we'll see. I don't think we learned. I think we learned that we have sets that are competitive, sets that can win. So like there's no excuse not to win. Basically, well, there's going to be other drivers as well fighting for the win, but there's nothing wrong with our sets. That's for sure. I was a bit surprised to see some of the choices today. Marco's running up 2, I believe, so he was running much more wing than you probably need here, but maybe he was banking on the temperature getting up to 125. But I think we stayed in the 110s, so
yeah, 107.
It wasn't too challenging at all. It's hard to say if we can take this to the update. I suppose, but we'll see. There
you go, Jesper, and thank you so much for indulging us. It's a rarity to get to talk to you on the broadcast anymore. So, friends, family, sponsors, shout outs. You got the floor as long as you want, my man.
Yeah, just been loving the hype lately. We have a lot of people on the team, a lot of drivers trying to improve the sets for the open wheels, the Hoosier 500. Unfortunately, I can't make it, but I'll be watching from the sidelines and rooting for the guys for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer too. I'm not going to be able to run that race either, and definitely wanted to, but family obligations intervene for me, and I know you've got those too. And it is a bummer, but it's always cool to see the team do as well as they can, and it's cool to see you tie one on tonight and go fast, my friend. So. Thank you so much for dropping in. Keep going fast, having fun, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Yes, sir. That is Jesper. He is going to run second tonight, and for tonight's winner by a whole 0.48 seconds. 0.049 seconds, excuse me. It's the Mario Man himself. Break out the green paint. It's Ty Keela. Ty, you've got Murph, you've got Collins in the P1 broadcasting booth. Last race of this build. Last race before the hybrid at Indianapolis, you pulled it off by driving around one of the best in the business. And Jesper, kind of what were you thinking coming off of turn number 3? He goes to the bottom. Were you thinking I can drive back by him coming to the line?
Yeah, so I guess the thought process there is, we're swapping, and what I'm trying to do is kind of back off a little bit so I can get a huge run, so we can kind of hold off the traffic behind us. And I just decided to see if I don't back it off and I just basically stick my foot in it, what's going to happen. And caught a little bit of his draft, just enough to propel me forward, and I was a lot further ahead than I thought I was going to be going into that. So that was good to see, but. Hats off to really Seb and Jesper for putting in all the work, and the rest of the guys at IAR and Satellite. I mean, I owe this win to them, to be honest. I'm not a setup master at all. If anything, I'm trying to become someone who's good on the racetrack. So we'll learn those things as they come. But yeah, huge shout out to them for building the set. A lot of work went in just before the race on the previous set, and it was a blast. So again, owe that to those guys.
Indeed, indeed. Mr. Collins.
Yeah, we saw you lead a good portion of the closing stages there. At what point did you feel like you might wind up being a sitting duck come the end? And then with that pass coming into 3, how likely did you feel like you could mount that charge heading back down the front straightaway?
Yeah, definitely felt like I was going to be a sitting duck a couple times in that race. Because Kyle and Jesper were swapping super fast. And sometimes it felt like I was having a little struggle holding the bottom there or finding the clean air just right. Just timed it correctly. I like to get there towards the end of the race. I don't want to be up the front usually at the beginning. By that time, I feel like I'm a little exhausted trying to stay out front. So, but coming into 3 there, I made the decision coming into 2 to let Jesper swap. And I didn't know for sure if it was going to pay off or not. I knew Jesper was going to try to cover the inside there, so... and I've also got Rashad behind me, so I know he's got some pace. He was significantly better at saving tires almost always than me, so you just never know how these things are going to go. Right place, right time again, so a little bit of luck, I don't know, tiny bit of skill.
I'd have to say that's the other way around, Ty, but congratulations for the win. The big win in Indianapolis, 4,700 something field. That's no day at the beach. So congratulations on that, friends, family, sponsors, shout outs. The microphone belongs to you.
Yeah, thanks. I think that might be my biggest SOF win. So happy for that. Shout out to teammates of Rogue Racing. Kyle, thanks for towing us along most of the race there. Also shout out to Marco. He had a fantastic race. Unfortunately, we were able to kind of swallow him up a little bit there at the end. And Seb again, who got wrecked out. Shout out to him for putting in a ton of work on this set. Shout out to you guys in the booth. Appreciate you guys always putting on a great show. Love getting to watch these back, so I'll be doing that on this one, giving it a thumbs up and subscribing for all those who haven't. Shout out to all the competition coming up at the Hoosier. Hopefully we make the race, and look forward to a big race out there. So I think that about sums it up.
There you go, Ty. Well, thank you so much for dropping in. Keep going fast, having fun, buddy, and we'll see you at the next one.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Yes, sir. That is Ty, Keela, and Jacob. That leaves us with Alan Berteau. Alan has not joined us in the interview booth. He is on European time, and so it would be very odd for Alan Berteau to stay for an interview when he's not I can't talk. When he is not on the podium, and so don't read anything into Alan not being here. Just a matter of time and convenience and things of that sort. But Jacob, the teammates raced at the end, and they put on a heck of a show.
I think it just goes to show that sometimes your best competition is your friends.
And that's very much true. Do want to thank everybody who participated this year in the Indy Open Series. It was record-breaking in any number of ways, highest SOFs in recent memory. We had a championship battle that really came down to the final race, and that is your presumptive champion. Alan Berteau leaves the Monday night top split in the barn. Barring any sort of a catastrophe, he will be the 2025 Season 4 overall champion for the Indy Open Series. Do want to thank all of the audience for joining us. Jacob, it's one view shy of 600, so as soon as Ty clicks on to watch his win back, we'll have that, and that is a massive audience. We want to make sure to thank all of you in that audience. Thank you so much for being an engaged audience. Love seeing the comments in the chat. Love talking back to you guys. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1, and if you are so inclined, hit the GoFundMe link in the description, because these are free to watch, but they are definitely not free to produce. They do cost time and money, and we do appreciate it. Beyond that, Jacob, really, what are you looking for in season 1 of 2025 besides the hybrid?
Well, we're going into 2026, and I'm looking
26.
forward.
See, I'm a year behind.
I'm looking forward to the Indy Next Oval Series having more than having over half the schedule not be single file conga line racing. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Are we going to sing the conga line song, Jacob? Do I need to join in the broadcast to help you out?
I'm hoping Homestead might give us some hope. There might be some hope in Homestead, but I have not heard the word on the street just yet. But we'll see if we get one more conga line to ride it off into the sunset this year.
Help us, Homestead. You're our only hope. Speaking of the Indy Next Series, 9 o'clock, you're going to have the Indy Next Road Finale with Mr. Jacob Collins. That's going to be live here on P1, 9 o'clock tonight from Sebring tomorrow. Oh boy, we're going to load them up and go to the big bowl. It's the iRacing Super Speedway. If you thought this was fun, wait till you see 24 Indy cars at 250 miles an hour, and they cannot escape one another. It is a sight to behold. That's going to be live at 7:15. We are going to have a double header, so we're going to run 7:15 and 9:15 for the Indy Fixed Oval Series Championship Tuesday, and we're going to sandwich the Indy Next Oval race in the middle. That's going to be 8:30 with Mr. Jacob Collins. Wednesday night we'll have the Formula Indy Series live for us, and then Friday night it's going to be a special presentation. It's the Battle for Jason Charity 200 from Daytona. It's trucks. It's many of the same competitors that you've seen in the AMA, so tune that one in. It's going to be a ton of fun. Speaking of fun, Jacob, I have had a lot of fun doing this with you, my man. It's always a blast to call these broadcasts. Do want to thank the drivers as well for putting on a heck of a show, because after all, those who can't do talk, and they can definitely do. And I don't know how good I am at talking, but it certainly is fun to watch. Do want to thank the fans for showing up. Big crowd tonight. Just awesome to see the community that P1 is starting to build and become. And lastly, we want to thank, Jacob, the people who really make this possible. The military, the police, the firemen, the EMTs who drive the ambulance, and the nurse that unloads you when you get there. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you all. Ty Keela, your race winner. Alan Briteau wins your championship. Have a great night, everybody, and we will see you at the next one.